Today, I want to talk to you about something that has kind of come up a lot in the last few weeks, and it's in relation to how do you, as an artist, measure your success? I'm quite fortunate to know a lot of different talented people in the art space, whether it be photographers, videographers, poets, painters, musicians, and a common thread amongst all of them is a lot of them end up stop doing what they love doing because of how they measure their success. Now, the biggest and most obvious one is financial. A lot of people view themselves successful whether they're making money from their craft. But that's always been a problem for me to understand because you don't start painting or you don't start making music because of the potential of making money. You start it because you love creating music or you love painting or you love taking photos. So why does it then become a monetary reason to stop? Now, I understand there's people who are going to come in and say, oh, you don't want to play the starving artist, you don't want to talk about money, you want to be able to make money for your career. And that is all very true, but that's not the reason you do it. That's not the reason you keep doing it. Because there's people who don't make money for 10, 12 years while doing their passion, their art, their absolute love. And that doesn't stop them doing it. Because if you want to make a career out of it, in regardless of whatever space you're in, you can. But that comes in time. But if you're stopping because you're not making money because of it, then you're stopping yourself because of money, not because of you're not loving what you're doing. Because you started it because you loved what you did. So if you're a painter and you love painting and you get in a flow state when you're painting, then why is the fact that you're not selling them for money stopping you painting? Because you can work a day job to a point where you can then paint in the evenings. And if you do that for years, and I'm not saying you have to work constantly, but to develop yourself as an artist does take time. So if you're like, as an example, Dermot Kennedy has been busking for 12 years. Now basically sells out quite large stadiums. But on his current album tour, in every city he's going to, he's doing a busking session in a park. Why? Because he loves playing music. He loves that intimate vibe. He loves just people listening to his music and songs he's written and the way he plays it. There's no monetary value in that, in the sense of what the stadium tours bring. But in every stadium, he's doing that because he loves what he does. Me personally, I think how you judge yourself and how you value your success is something you have to check. And I think that's the main reason for actually making this video is because I need this as well. Because I've been guilty of viewing success in the wrong way. I did a couple exhibitions and I've had some comments during those exhibitions and they get you really pumped up. So I've been told, one of the comments I got told was, I think you're going to be quite big, was a comment someone said to me before I actually did my last exhibition. Now I walked into that exhibition, I was just like, this is incredible. This is great. I'm going to sell pieces, this is going to be great. And on the night I sold one piece. Now, does that mean it wasn't successful? In a way it does, if you viewed that as success, but I had 120 people come to an exhibition I put on, looked at work I did, gave me some incredible feedback and said some incredibly nice things. But I viewed that as not successful because I didn't do as well as I thought with the money side of things. But that's only a failure if I view everything based on the money I made from it rather than the impact it had. Because for me, when you're doing, whether you're a musician, whether you're a painter, how you view success has to be internal before it becomes external. So it has to be how you feel, which goes back to a video I did a few weeks ago, which was knowing your why. If you know your why for creating it, there's no reason to stop making what you're doing if you truly love what you do. So if you stop taking photos or you stop painting or you stop making music or you stop writing because you put something on social media and it gets 50 likes, well, change the narrative. Can you imagine 50 people standing and applauding something you made? It's a very different way of looking at it, because instead of just having 50 likes on a page, 50 numbers on a page coming up and going like this, like this, like this, can you imagine if 50 people stood around applauding something that you created, right? So it's important to know your why, because that's the way you have to value yourself. So for me, when I'm taking those photos and I get the impact when I'm taking that photo and I'm trying to tell the story, it has to be what I get from the photos first before anything else, because if it's anything else comes before it, it'll stop me doing that initial thing. And that's a recipe for disaster when you're a creative, because if you're an incredible musician and you stop making music because no one's listening to it, well, you're not making music initially for them, you're making it for you. You love how it sounds, you love playing with this. It has to be for you. Because that's the only way to be successful, is if you're successful for yourself. So when it comes to whatever type of art you do, or whatever type of art you like making, or whatever, if you've got friends who are artists, ask them their why. And make sure they understand their why before they're determining themselves as successful or not. Because if they're aligned with their why, the success is completely for themselves. It shouldn't be about sales, it shouldn't be about numbers, it shouldn't be about money, it shouldn't be about anything else but what you feel when you make it. And what you want people to feel when you make it. Because if one person gets an impact, that's incredible. Then that's your job done. But it has to be enough when you make it, because you have no control over anything after that point. And as soon as you give your art form and give your passion and give your love to the view of someone else, then it's going to end up hurting you. There's an incredible video with Kobe Bryant, who's NBA basketball player, and they asked him, what's the common thread amongst high-level athletes? And he said it's very simple, it's love. It's love for what they do, it's love for the hard work, it's love for what they're making, and love for the game. But it's no different with art. If you love the music and you love making music, then keep making music. If you love painting, keep painting. Because it has to be for you. If I love taking photos, so for me it's about taking photos. And if I get too caught up on the other stuff, then that impacts me taking photos. And the reason this is becoming quite big for me is because I know so many talented poets, musicians, painters, and they stop. Photographers as well. And they stop doing all of those things. Because either they feel it's not good enough, or they feel that no one sees it, or they feel they're not making money about it. But that's not why they started. So they didn't start it because of that. They started because they loved what they were doing. So that has to be the reason to keep going. Because it has to be about loving what you're making, loving what you're doing, and just doing it for you. And if you want to get to the point where it becomes a career, that comes in time. Like I'm currently doing exhibitions. Now, in order for me to get to the point where that becomes sustainable, I know there's going to be many more I'm going to have to do. Because it comes in time, but it doesn't mean I don't love it. Like, I love curating the story. I love putting the pieces together. I love hanging them in a way. I love doing the nights where you've got music and food and you get all the people in a room and you create an entire event based around your art. I love that. And I love the impact that it potentially has. So regardless of the art form you do, if you love making something, then focus on that, and that is the only recipe you need for determining your success as an artist. It's only within you, because if you stop yourself, you potentially are stopping something much bigger than that. Because if you do more of what you love, you'll naturally love more of what you do.